Ask Mr. Info's Delivering Wow podcast. Every episode focuses on an aspect of delivering extraordinary experiences through service, learning how to be authentic, and creating a stellar reputation. Now, here's your host, Mindset Coach, Michael Sommermeyer.
I often mentor on the subject of figuring out why you're doing what you're doing in life. Why are you sitting at your desk from 8 to 5? Why are you there? If you don't have any idea, then you likely have not defined your why. Only you can decide why you're there. And if you discover your reason why doesn't match up with why you're sitting there, then you have a problem. It's always better to know in advance what you want to accomplish before you undertake a project or walk down a path in your life. You might say, well, it pays the bills, or I need the job. I say just because it pays the bills and you need the job doesn't mean you should be doing it if it doesn't further your long-range vision for yourself. I've got a story for you about vision and following through. A young woman went out and trained hard to swim across the English Channel. She did everything her coach asked her to do to prepare for the race, and soon she was ready to swim the 30-odd kilometers crossing England and France. During the swim, she fought the waves, and soon a dense fog rolled in, making it difficult for her to see the course. The waves were pounding, and the fog was so dense, all she had was a sense of being closed in upon by the waves. She began to hesitate in the water. Her coach yelled for her to keep going from the chase boat, but feeling in the moment and unable to see that the shoreline was only a few meters away, she raised her arm and motioned to be pulled into the boat. A few months later, her coach brought her to the exact spot in the water where she had given up. On this clear day, with no fog to cloud her eyes, she saw that the shoreline was very close, and she could have finished the race. The young swimmer returned and finished the race the next year. You have to keep going. You have to have a map for when things seem cloudy. You must know why you're doing it. So many people have never thought about where they want to go. They live day to day, moment to moment, and they just get along. For them, it's enough to just be there in the moment. But when things fall apart or go sideways, they have nothing to cling to. They immediately panic and quit the race. Just being in the moment and just sitting there at your desk day after day doesn't further your career, doesn't help you feel good about yourself, and doesn't leave you with very much to show others at the end of your life. Now certainly, we all must pay our dues. We all must work jobs that fail to inspire us from time to time. We all must start someplace. But that doesn't mean you have to spend 30 years doing just that if it fails to fulfill your desires. I'm reminded of a story about a man I once met, whom I'll call Charlie for this story, who was very bitter about his life. Charlie had spent the good part of his working career doing a job that failed to challenge him. In the beginning, he had hope and the right attitude. Charlie worked to find better ways of doing the job. He made suggestions, but his manager shot him down. He offered creative changes to improve the job, and he was dismissed again. Every time Charlie offered his suggestion, he was told no, or that won't work, or we don't do it that way here. Eventually, Charlie gave up trying because his family needed the money and he didn't see himself doing anything else. So he gave up on trying to improve the job and just resigned himself to doing it. Charlie felt miserable. He had so much to offer. He could see better ways of doing the job, but no one would listen. He got through it by centering himself in the belief that it was a job, he needed the money, and therefore it was just good enough. Charlie worked in that job for 27 years until one day his manager announced job cuts, and you guessed it, Charlie was one of the people released. He was terminated. Charlie took his severance check and walked away bitter, sad, and angry. After having his enthusiasm kicked to the door, Charlie essentially decided that this was his lot in life. And because he didn't see any other path, he gave up trying. Now, it didn't have to end this way. After all, Charlie had motivation. He knew how to make the job better, but he failed to see the vision for himself. He failed to see that he could direct his future. Charlie failed to figure out his why. So again, why are you sitting there? It may be that you figured it out and this is just a step toward a brighter future. It may be that this is where you're supposed to be. But what if it isn't? How do you step back and take stock? How do you come up with your why? You have to figure out your immediate and long-range goals. Once you define your goals, then you can define your future. When I started in my radio career, I was fortunate to have an incredible boss who knew that there was so much more beyond the horizon for me, and he clearly saw a better future for me than I saw for myself. He challenged me to think about what I wanted to do. He encouraged me to ponder the future. He would ask, "Where do you see yourself in 5 years? Will you remain in advertising production? Will you always be a radio DJ, or will you be in sales? What do you think you will be doing when you are my age?" Well, that was quite a thought for a 20-year-old. What would I be like at his age? He was ancient. But I quickly understood where he was coming from. He had made a choice long ago to become a general sales manager and eventually an owner of many stations. He saw this vision for himself when he was 20 years old. One day I announced I was going to become a television news broadcaster, and that meant going to college. It also meant that I needed to leave this job and go off into another city. My colleagues begged me to stay. The sales department asked, what will they do when I left? Who would produce and voice the ads? I loved the job and was very good at it. It unleashed my creativity. But I also understood that if I was ever to advance, if I was ever to fulfill my personal vision, I would have to move on. So how do you come up with your why? Well, let's take a snapshot. What are you good at? What skills do you currently have? What would you like to do in life? Can you use your skills to push you towards your future? What is it that you really want to do? Take out a piece of paper and start writing down all of the things you would like to do in life. This list can have anything on it from professional goals to personal ones. Don't categorize them, just write them down. Do you want to jump out of an airplane and skydive for the first time? Do you want to climb to the top of Kilimanjaro? Do you want to be the #1 salesman in your office? Do you want to start your own business? Do you want to learn how to play the guitar? Do you want to be able to pay for your children's college education? Do you want to pay off all of your bills? You get the idea. Go ahead. Whatever pops into your head, just go ahead and write it down. Now, you can finish this task later after this program, but I want you to sit down and write out all of your goals. And then I want you to share them with someone. That person can be your best friend, your significant other, or anyone you trust. You can even email them to me if you wish. The main thing is you need to share them with someone and ask them to call you up occasionally and ask, how are you doing on becoming a world-class elephant trainer? Or whatever the goal may be. Now that you have your goals in front of you, look them over. Which ones can you accomplish in the next year, the next 5 years, or the next 10? Put a 1 next to the 1-year goals, put a 5 next to the 5-year goals, and a 10 next to the 10-year goals. Now you have a roadmap and a list of things you can start to accomplish. Look over your list. Is there a common theme? Do you have some personal goals and some professional goals that seem to match up or complement each other? Now you can lump those into categories so that you can see a distinctive roadmap. Now I want you to look over all of your goals and see if they point to a common vision. Ponder them carefully because at some point, like a lightning bolt, you're going to see a common theme and the spark of your why. Your why needs to be the common thread that holds the whole vision together. It needs to be the one thing that makes your goals reality. So now I'm going to share with you my why. Many people have asked me what motivates you. What makes you so sure of yourself? I tell them that I am motivated and that I lead my life by a simple vision statement. Essentially, I want to do everything I can in this life to encourage and show others how they can succeed in their jobs, their personal lives, and in life. I want to be a giver, a person who touches lives and sparks an idea that leads to an even better one. Over my entire career, I've managed to be able to help people find out what is their why are they here, what do they want to do, and that has really made me feel much better. My life has been devoted to helping other people reach their professional and personal goals. Essentially, I really enjoy helping people. I think here's a story that illustrates my feelings perfectly. A man looked around his world and became distraught by all the pain and suffering he saw. He fell down and started banging his fists in the dirt. He then looked up to the sky and yelled up to his God, "Look at what is happening here. Look at all this pain and suffering. Look at all this killing and hate. God, oh God, why don't you do something?" And his God spoke down to him and said, "I did. I sent you." I've been looking for a reason to podcast or do something that could motivate others without it feeling trite or trivial. I want to make a difference. If I can touch one person who in turn touches another, I have earned enough reward. This is called the servant mentality, and it is a subject I will expand upon at another time. Over the course of my career, I've used goals to propel me into successful positions and endeavors. Nothing I have done has been without consideration of where I want to be. And so my various experiences have all contributed to my present career. The power you will obtain just by writing down your goals is tremendous. So I encourage you to re-listen to this program, write down your goals, and then review them often. The power of these written words will seep into your subconscious and begin to make your dreams a reality. You have the power to shape your own future and define your own destiny. This is the clearest way I know to make sure you are successful in life and in your career. Define your goals, define your vision, and define your future. Find out your why, and it will lead you on to great things.
Did you know Ask Mr. Info offers a free discovery call so you can decide if Michael Sommermeyer is a good fit as a mindset coach? Take some time for yourself and work with Michael to improve your purpose. Learn how to make your wishes reality in your business. Achieve success and overcome obstacles with an introductory discovery call. Invest in your self-worth, amplify your growth, and become better. Head over to www.askmrinfo.com and book your free discovery call today. You've been listening to Ask Mr. Info's Delivering Wow podcast. Subscribe to hear more episodes focusing on creating extraordinary experiences through service, learning how to be authentic, and creating a stellar reputation.